Alright. Yep. Welcome back to another fabulous episode of the Reckless Wrench Garage. On this episode, Howard joins me as we rip the engine out of the 350Z, drop it in the new 240 drift car, and hope for the best. We have a 2005 350Z. It's a race car, you know, it goes fast. It's got a 6-speed transmission. You could drift it if you know what that is, if you know how to do that. We're gonna get this thing going. Pull the engine out, pull the transmission out, get anything else we need. We'll see how it goes. So we've gone through, got some of the stuff that we're not going to need out of the engine bay, moved some of the other stuff aside. We got the top half of the intake pulled off. Got the exhaust manifolds off, switched the mounts around. Hopefully it'll help us get it in there and fit it a little bit better. So far, one thing we noticed we are going to be dealing with is clearance for the steering shaft. The joint that goes on there just about hits the header. So when your parts come with aftermarket parts, you kind of want to keep them. I don't want to put a stock manifold on there.
Come back some more.
Was he?
Yep. You can come back some more. Alright, hold it there for a sec. Okay, you can go down.
Yeah, we're high on this stuff. So I guess we'll put this one in and then let it down some more.
Yep. Probably have to pull that towards you.
Looks like it needs to go back on your side. Oh yeah, that needs to go back on your side. Is there something stopping us? Whatever that was?
Yep, whatever that is.
Alright, fair enough. We've got the mounts in place. It's set wherever those mounts are meant to set it. If you look at the level here, we have the top part of the intake off. Once we put that on, it's definitely going to be sitting above the cowl, which means it's not going to clear anything. Ground clearance is pretty nice. Well, we did some putting in and slightly taking out and moving things around to no avail. We're still going to be pretty much in the same spot as we were before. We aren't going to use the little spacers. They're like washers for the motor mounts. We're not going to use those. I have some old Delrin ones from the old engine that was in here. It's just a Delrin block. So we're going to cut those in half. It'll be about the same thickness as the urethane piece of the mount. It's going to get it as low as we can go without having to hack up the cross member. And by the looks of it, we're still not going to fit underneath the hood. Right now the intake's not all the way on. I mean, that's a finger's length there. But you can see how high the intake sits up over the cowl. I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of faith in it fitting. But I guess there's a chance. I don't want to cut the hood. That's my biggest thing. I like that hood way too much to chop it up. Alright, Howard forgot to hit record. So we got the engine back in with, well, we didn't actually take it out. We swapped out the mounts. We swapped out those little urethane mounts with our cut up Delrin ones. The engine sits a little more like we want it to. You can see all we used was the Delrin itself. It's looking like we might have to maybe heat up one of the tubes on the header and beat it a little bit for some clearance. We still have to get the transmission in there and figure out the angle of the engine. Right now the car is sitting, you know, the car is leaned back, the engine's leaned back. Don't know if they actually match just yet. Our crossmember clearance so far is good. We haven't focused any on the sway bar yet. Right now we have it dropped. It's looking like, oh, it's looking like it might actually clear. Dang, I don't know, we'll see about that. But we are hitting the power steering lines. You can see that down in there. There's also some ribs on the oil pan that we may have to clearance, get the engine to sit around the steering rack properly. So we pulled the engine back out. What I was talking about with the steering lines is these little ribs right here on the bottom of the pan are hitting a little bit. I'm not too worried about grinding those down, so we're gonna smooth these out a little bit. And this little guy here hits, depending on how you position it, it's right there where the steering rack bolts on. So we're gonna grind that down, get it out of the way. Get the flap disc to do that. It's looking like we may have to modify the headers a little bit. Should be fun. Alright, one of the things that we're going to have to deal with is when we put the transmission from the VQ in the 240, where the shifter sits is really far back. Not really far, it's about 3 inches further back than what it needs to be. So you'd have to cut the trans tunnel and you'd be shifting like way back here on your side and it'd be really uncomfortable. So all the stuff that came with this, you take this big old bracket off and this fancy shiny aluminum piece is going to bolt in its place. And then we have to figure out the actual shifter part so we can see how it goes in there. Ta-da! Flat on this side. I'll look at the shifter and see if that's what's hitting. Yeah, that's definitely what's hitting.
Oh yeah. Yep, I see it.
That shit needs to go forward like 2 inches.
Yeah. You can see it?
Yeah. Remember how this is supposed to be like direct bolt-on type stuff?
Yeah. That definitely. Oh, direct bolt-on. It doesn't fit.
Yeah. That's right, we'll deal with that later. We're gonna do A little bit of massaging. Well, we're still mocking up the exhaust. We got the headers and the downpipes situated. Doing some cutting and tacking. I think they'll clear everything pretty well now. We got the header to steering shaft situated. Steering shaft isn't in, obviously. Alrighty, well. Took a trip over to Banff Garage, which is Brit's Automotive Metal Fabrication. Totally not what I thought it was, but hey. He let me play with his TIG welder in an attempt to make the headers and downpipes look pretty after I chopped them up and had to put them back together. Well, I quickly learned that my TIG skills are below par, like many of my other skills. But I'm gonna put them on anyway. Bang it! So as it turns out, there's a trick to getting things to run. I didn't realize this until I saw a recent episode of Roadkill. But if you're gonna put something in the intake to get it something to start, you might want to make it flammable. It's amazing how that works. Thanks, guys. Well, we seem to be having some issues with our ECU, so hopefully we can get this squared away, get this thing started up again. But until next time, stay reckless. Letting jack down.
Landed on my hip.
That's it?
Yeah. I think I'm stuck now.
Do I need to go up?
I'll just lay under here.
Whatever.
I'll just lay under here till I lose some weight.